Hey, welcome to Great Western Building Systems. I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this have been following us or paying attention for a little while, and it's been a while since we released anything or really gave any shop updates. It's been a while since we've done any of our tutorial videos on erection sequence and stuff like that, but I'll have an update on that here in a second. But really what we're doing is just providing an update on the shop, a little bit of a market update at the end. But we have been getting some questions from on the YouTube channel, you know, of course, just from other customers. So I assume that people have those questions, just generally speaking. So I'm going to go through those first, just a few. Probably the kind of the meat of you know what's going on, and then we'll take a look at the yard and give you an update on some of the machines and stuff like that, and of course the steel industry as a whole. So anyways, stay tuned. Here we go. All right, so when I do these updates, I really don't spend a lot of time, you know, kind of scripting them like, you know, like our erection videos and stuff. So forgive the ums and the ahs and the looking around. But I did write down a few of the questions from the sales team, from some customers. I think the biggest one, of course, is lead times, especially with current customers. You know, with you know, everybody's aware of the delays in industry and stuff, and Great Western has been no exception. As pretty much everybody's aware. Now that the shop's 100% operational, we are clawing back a lot of that, you know, that backlog of buildings. For about every two and a half weeks of production right now, we're able to claw back about a month. Which is good. Obviously in the wintertime our sales are a little bit slower, but we've also made efforts to kind of reduce the amount of volume until we get back to that 8 to 12 week realistic lead time, you know, that everybody's used to historically. On lead times, we are leaving production volume open, right? So we schedule buildings based on when the building is released by the customer or the contractor into fabrication, right? And we try to just keep that in order as much as we can. Of course, some people say, oh crap, you know, we gotta move this out a month or a few weeks or you know, sometimes even longer than that as they're getting contractors lined up, or you know, like kind of what we're dealing with here in Grand Junction right now. It's just been a wildly wet winter, which, you know, of course is a good thing. You know, dry weather is good for production and construction, but it's you know, it's not good for the mountains and the reservoirs and stuff like that. So it's nice to see some wet weather, but sometimes that happens. Where I'm going with that is, if you find out from Abby or Rebecca or Nikki or someone in the office that your delivery date is not what you're wanting, it's not what you're expecting, we are able to move things up. So, you know, hey, you know, we want to have it, you know, sooner than July. Let us know. Like I said, reach out to Tyler or myself, and we can always plug things into a hole, especially on smaller buildings, 30 by 40s, 40 by 60s. Those are real easy to plug in. And you know, the big jobs, the 100,000, 200,000 pound jobs, of course, those are a little bit more difficult. So we're not as flexible with those, but generally those fall within the correct time frame for the scope of the construction project in general. So like I said, just reach out and we can always move things up, or we can move things out. We regularly do that. This one here, production volume, actually Mike, a customer of ours, was asking me about this yesterday, so it's on the top of my mind. I think he was just curious. He already has his building, but he's been, you know, following us for a while. A few things on production volume. Yeah, our production has been great. We are hitting our targets. There's been a couple of kinks on the way, which I'm going to get into with the purlin line here over the last few weeks. We did have that go down, and waiting on some pretty crazy parts. We're going to go over there and take a look at it here in a minute. but we're consistently producing, depending on the week, between 450 and 550,000 pounds of total ship weight out of the shop here. So that's right on target where we want to be. And when we have to, we can put a little bit more on that by doing some overtime or something. We're trying to avoid that. Trying to ship that much weight has really is difficult on the shipping yard. So we have an expansion that we did out there. We'll show you that. But anyways, production right on target. The machines, everything has just been fantastic. Oh, the other one. I guess this is the last real question that I'm going to go over, but new install videos. We did do the sheeting video. We've shot that. We actually shot that a couple of months ago. Myself, Justin, we've been busy. We need to do some editing on that. We're going to sit down with that here a little bit later today. I would expect, all the footage is shot on it, so we really just got to put it together. There's some animations that I want to tighten up a little bit. And just some of the graphics on the screen to provide a little bit more detail. So I expect that in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. After that, we do have a couple of local projects where erectors are coming in, erectors that we know, and we're going to work with them a little bit to go over a few more of the technical stuff on the buildings. In fact, we got a good one with a low weave extension, which is similar to like a hip roof or like a wainscot tie-in or something. So a lot of good valuable trim information on that if we're able to get on site to do that one. But I do want to discuss some new equipment that we got coming in, the shipping yard. We're going to walk around the shop a little bit when we do that, and then of course we'll get to a real quick market update. Hey, so while we go through the shop here real quick, the guys are all at lunch right now. It's noon, and they're going to be back in here in a few minutes. So before it gets too loud, we're going to just rocket through this. One of the cool improvements that we've made, it's been on my mind since we opened the shop, is these welding booms or jibs for the welders, right? To get the whips up off the floors, give guys basically a 25-foot radius around their workstation where they can bring their whip over. And we have a demo model here, that our first one that we built just as a test. We do have the other jibs all mounted. We're waiting on, these are drum fed rather than the wire wheels. And all of that wire, because of the size of our order, they're like 6 to 8 weeks out on getting that stuff here. I think in the next couple of weeks, all that stuff will be in the shop, and we will do that. That saves not just time and frustration with the guys dragging welding machines around. It also saves the welder itself, or at least the whip on the end of the welder, right? So it's laying on the ground, getting stepped on, a beam drops on it. We go through, I don't know, most stations, a whip lasts 2 to 3 weeks, and they're like $600. Once they're suspended in the air here, this one's been hooked up for almost 3 months. It's still on its original whip that we put on it. So yeah, we'll continue walking on down the shop. All right, so I mean, totally not new equipment or anything like that. Actually, this stuff came out of the building itself, like 40 years old. And maybe I hit on this in the last video, but one thing that has sped us up and has increased quality control is our paint room. So after a beam is prepped, over the winter, we're heating beams with salamanders and stuff like that. So we came in, we installed these infrared heaters, natural gas heaters that we had plumbed in. So before it goes through the paint booth, or when it gets into the paint booth, we heat the beams up to between 100 and 115 degrees. That allows us to, the paint doesn't want to freeze or something. It lets us paint basically on cold steel. And then on the back side of the paint booth, there's another set of 4 of these that are hooked up to cure. And that's just been fabulous. Pretty much anything that's rolling out of the shop right now is cured and done. We're probably going to keep them running through the summer, maybe not as high, but the way that it cures the paint is really, really nice. And they're pretty efficient on the natural gas. I was actually really surprised. So that's good. All right. Okay, so we're over here in what used to be, or what still is, our cold form fabrication area. The fab cold form is actually going to be moved. We just developed the other side of the shop, the lean-to side, where these guys will be moving. We haven't moved them yet because this machine has been down. Many of you know, or a lot of people that I've talked to, back in 21, we ordered an ASC Purlin mill, their big, fancy zillion-dollar model. And that has just been delayed. The last update we got on it was spring of 2024. That is not working for us. So anybody that's had a delay in their building or something like that, I get the frustration. I know what dealing with that is like firsthand. Anyways, with the delays on that machine, and because our buyout, we really weren't able to buy out, or are not able to buy out full volume from various suppliers that we go through. So we did need to supplement that. And with the delay of the main Purlin mill that'll be coming in, I was able to find this Z-line on the used market. It was a new machine, but technically used because it, as the second owner of it, and it's been great. It does our punching. It makes really, really nice parts. Certainly, it's not nearly as fast or as capable as the future machine, but it's good. It's a good training opportunity, that's for sure. And like I said, it does make good parts. Unfortunately, the machine sat in Florida for almost a year before we wound up buying it. And one of the main servo motors on the machine looked like it had been submerged. So it shorted out, and they're sealed, so there's no inspection or anything. So we missed that, and the machine went down. That was about 3 weeks ago. We're not up on the machine because right now my maintenance crew is installing the new servo motor that we just got in today. So we will be back to running this machine this weekend, and then in order to catch up, some of what's going on out in the shipping yard. We haven't slowed down our fabrication, and we were a couple of weeks ahead when this machine went down in cold form and everything, and we have been able to emergency supplement some of that. But we will be running this machine 2 10-hour shifts every day until we get fully caught up, and we really need to, not just to get these buildings that have been produced, on site for their customers, but we need to open up some space in the shipping yard. It's getting pretty thick out there. It's really nice to have the machine back up and operating. Okay, so another update. I wasn't really planning on doing this one, but we run all of our panels for the buildings, roof and walls, everything except for standing seam, which is still buyout stuff. But wall panels, roof panels, we run that all here in the shop, and that is actually a partnership between Great Western and RMM or Delta. And if these guys watch the video, thank you. Richard, their main guy, their foreman here, is fabulous. I mean, anything we need is just on the spot. And Lewis and Ed down in Delta have been a pleasure to work with too. So it's kind of merged into a new partnership. They work here in the shop. And it's been really, really good. The fortunate thing, well, not fortunate, but when our machine went down, they wanted to do an overhaul, or a limited overhaul on this MRS roll former behind me. When that line went down, we found out it was going to be a couple of weeks. We all came to the same conclusion, like, hey, if you're going to do the overhaul on it, do it now. And they just completed that about a week ago, or 3 or 4 days ago. And the machine, it's faster, it's a better part. All the tooling has been updated. Nothing was wrong with it before, but it's just more efficient and less errors on the machine. They put a new PLC on it, and it's beautiful. It's really great. So big shout out to those guys. Okay, so a big expansion that we did, and we had to wait until the asphalt plants were running again this spring, or I guess late winter. It's just turned into spring, but we had our main shipping yard over here. It's a little bigger than an acre. 2 rows. Basically, we can handle 6 trucks in there, depending on the size of the buildings, at a single time, with staging in the middle aisle, obviously, and then on the ends. We kind of figured out that was not going to cut it. We need more staging just to keep material a little bit more segregated, faster load times for the guys. They're not looking between bundles or something like that for parts to get onto trucks. And last summer we had this east lot here leveled, and then we put down 2 applications of mag chloride on it. The ground is super stable, but it holds a lot of water, and we quickly destroyed it again, to where, I mean, we could almost not even get through if it was, you know, if there was any kind of weather. And of course we were making ruts and bumps, tearing up forklifts. So we have now been able to get this paved. It's a mixture of new and recycled asphalt. Unfortunately, with the weather, I can see rain coming in over the monument right now. It has been abnormally wet, and we just have not been able to get this cured and set up to where we can get the lifts and stuff on it. So the forecast for the next 10 days is actually looking pretty good. We're going to have to reapply another coating of mag on it, because with all the rain, the coatings that we did do probably, you know, just sank through. So we'll get a nice hard candy shell on it. And this is more than double our shipping yard. So it'll be exciting once we get to use it. It looks really nice, and Brian over at Asphalt Specialists and Sean, they did just a fabulous job. If you're in Grand Junction, you need asphalt done, or grading or something, give those guys a call. It was so affordable. Kind of a recap on what I was talking about with us not slowing down production while we're waiting on this Z line to come back up. And the fact that we're not using the east yard, so we've kind of had to start, you know, putting stuff out in the front of the yard for temporary storage. And some of this stuff, because of the rain, it's going to have to go back in, get another coat of paint, which is good. But every single one of these piles is basically a building that is ready to ship. And it just, like I said, we're just waiting on those Z's. That's why we'll be running that machine as heavy once it gets back up, the 2 shifts a day, 10 hours a day. So basically 20 hours on the machine. And it'll probably take us a couple weeks to get, you know, back up to even. And then we will march forward and make sure that we get, you know, back ahead a couple of weeks. And there's plenty of coil, plenty of raw material. But yeah, you can see, we've just been trying to keep everything out of the gravel and the mud, but you know, we've eaten up the you know, part of where the guys like to park for storage. So production has been good. You know, while we're still out here, I'm just going to do the market update while we're here in the yard. All right, so what the heck is going on in steel? So November, December last year, we saw steel starting to kind of climb back into historic norms, I would say, or a little bit closer. You know, we're seeing $700, $750 a ton steel. Easy to get. You know, now the suppliers that had us on allocation or wouldn't even take our calls or were calling, it was good. Been a twist. If anybody keeps up with the CRU and the steel markets, you know, Cleveland Cliffs kind of started the march forward on this. They want to get back to their, you know, historic and very high profit. So they've been idling a lot of capacity. It's a bit insulting in this market because there's still strong, or there's still real strong demand, especially in construction. Not just us, but you know, I talked to the other factories in my business, and they're all dealing with, you know, year plus backlogs of orders and everything. Some of them in much worse shape than us. And it was kind of like all of a sudden we had relief, but Cliffs you know, at first they were targeting $800 a ton. We're getting a $50 a week or a $50 per ton price increase. Then we started seeing $100 a ton. Right now, the last benchmark from CRU, just hot rolled raw steel, they're targeting $1,300 a ton. We're right at $1,200 a ton now. So we're almost back up to like historic pricing. Like I said, it's insulting because U.S. capacity is down to like 70%. There's new mills online. Nucor did a big expansion. BlueScope did a big expansion. Their coil mill, of course, the SDI shop in Sinton, Texas is now online, capable of making so much, you know, so much steel for all industries, and they're just idling. So, you know, lead times are extending on raw materials. We are purchased pretty far ahead. We expect to see the market relax coming into quarter 2, maybe the end of quarter 2, and we're purchased all the way out through then. So we're in a good position there. Some people, you know, are unfortunately didn't react quickly enough when prices started going up. And it's really not a price issue, it's an availability issue and a lead time issue, especially on the finished products. Hot dip galvanized is, I mean, Christ, at $1,400 a ton. Yeah, so we're inching in on 75 cents a pound, where, you know, and then you got to ship it, and of course, you know, what fuel prices have come down a little bit, but trucking rates continue to either level out, stabilize, but they're still way up there. So trucking is a good business to be in right now, and I think I think that's about it. So we'll just wrap this up out here. Anybody has any questions, give us a call, especially when it comes to your lead time. Right? Like I said, we have a lot of flexibility there now. And we have some other options through some partners, especially for buildings on the eastern side of the country, where it might make sense for us to shift production over to a partner business. And like that building we were loading out there, that's actually for a what we call a private label or an OEM account. It's not even a Great Western building. And they've been really helpful, you know, picking up some production for us, and of course when they have something out here, we can pick up some production for them. So there's always options available, but as long as it's, you know, 6 to 8 weeks out, so we can get buyout material in, get it scheduled, make sure that we have the materials for it, you know, doors, windows, accessories, stuff like that. Those are still have pretty significant lead times, but yeah, give Tyler and me a call, and we can squeeze you in, especially if it's a smaller building. And that's it. Until next time. You know, maybe later this summer we'll do another update. Maybe I'll have like great news about steel. It'll be like, you know, steel's back down and you know, easy to get. But we'll see. Yeah, I'll make sure. Hopefully Justin's here when that thing gets going again later today. We'll keep you guys updated on that, and then we're gonna work on that sheeting video a little bit and follow up maybe with some additional tutorials. So until next time, build great. Thanks.